Have The Instinct by Mick Gordon by Killer Instinct. Disclaimer, I've never played Killer Instinct, but I've heard really good things about it, so let's hear it out. Ooh. It's Gordon. What do we expect? Very nice bass. Was that an anvil that I heard? Hang on. And by the way, I am not apologizing for pausing often. That's the point of this. I'm pausing whenever I catch something, and I want to break it down for you. So let's hear it. I think that's an anvil. I think that's an anvil. Which, Mick Gordon's take on the soundtrack is legend. Mick Gordon is legend in general. Because you have that, you have the phased out guitar with the really heavy drums, and anvils are such a funny thing to have in music. I think the first thing I think of whenever I think of anvils is Wagner. Because Wagner used it in his operas of the Ring Cycle, which, by the way, is what inspired The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien was a big fan of Mahler. He went to see those operas, and he took inspiration from that, because the Ring Cycle from Mahler is it has a lot of themes that you see in The Lord of the Rings. And during the scene of the aria of the Forging of the Rings, Wagner used, I think it was 12 anvils in that piece, and it was just such a wild thing. Anvils are so metal. Precisely. Let's continue. I like this. The guitar is doing a rhythm, still phased out a little bit, and the drum carries it very in your face. So we have these two sides of it. You have the guitar speaking as an echo first, and then the drum yelling at you in your face. And the anvil doing his thing. Okay. And we're adding more elements in between. There's a synth building up in the background, building tension. So... oh! Again, doing the bring everything out, finally bringing the guitar in, phasing it in your face. Such a Mick Gordon thing to do. Such an incredible effect that it has. It's so cool. And we have it here again. Potato, welcome to today. How you doing? Once again, we have the incredible notion of the floating melody. I've explained this in other videos, but I'm going to do this since this one's going to be its own. You have this principle that I've noticed in music, that is, you have a very busy lower side, very busy drums, very busy bass, very busy middle, busy whatever, and then you have on the top you have a melody that is not as busy. It's usually a lot lighter, and it gives you this feeling of flying above the landscape. And that is exactly what is happening here, except it's happening in a very metal context. So not only do you get this majestic feeling that doing I'm going to call it a floating melody, gives you, it's also metal as hell. So it feels like especially aggressive and so good. So yeah, you can hear So you can hear that lead guitar going at it, so... go ahead, Potato. And again, you have the main motif of this thing, which a motif once again being the essential musical idea of the piece. in this case being carried by the lead guitar, which I think the lower guitar, the phased out guitar that we heard at the start, might have had a similar rhythm. I think it was a similar rhythm. It might have been the same rhythm, which would have been a preview of the idea that we're seeing here. So my internet has been started this weekend. It's Monday. There you go. There you go. And we have these. I love Mick Gordon, how he does these false stops. Because a lot of the times when you just stop things, so internet seems to be not doing that great in the America. Oh shit! No, it's my end. Let's continue. All right, so we have a change of chords, which I am surprised. Holy shit, I just realized we are 1 minute and 20 seconds in, and we had been on one chord so far. Being on a single chord, staying harmonically on the same place for well over a minute, and making it work this easily? Really difficult to do. I mean, it could be that we were doing that jump, that dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum that Mick Gordon usually does. But still being able to do that takes skill, and Mick has it. Mick absolutely has it. Oh yeah, and I was talking about how Mick does these false stops. You know how in electronic music, the music will often just stop, and then you introduce the new one. But the new I Got Gremlins, I know, right? And then you introduce a new idea after everything stops. Mick Gordon does something like that, but he just continues the idea. It's so clever. So, let's continue. So yeah, now we go from the 1 to the 6. Or no, 4 to 5. 4 to the 5. And now we stop. We bring everything kind of to the beginning. Just that, those synths. Which, again, I think I said this in the previous video, that if you have a very heavy drum or a very present drum and you take it away and you just leave whatever is up in the air, you feel like you're up in the air. Differently from a floating melody that you feel like you're flying, this one it just feels like you're suspended up in the air kind of thing. Very, very different. Looky lady in the middle next to the wolf guy smash. Oh, yeah. Of course. For a second, I thought we were talking about this one. Alright. Very, very subtle, very hidden, but you have that rhythmic motif in a phased out bass. It's there. I think it's a synth. Phased out in the back, but it's there. We introduce those strings, very nice. With a contrast, disruptive melody. Nice. Nice. Very cool, very cool. I was not this is something that that always shocks me when Mick Gordon does this kind of really strong contrast. When he just takes away the guitars, keeps the synths, takes away the drums, puts more synths or like strings, something like that. It's just such a heavy impact. Such a heavy impact. And the sound design is just brilliant. Like, how the hell Mick doesn't do, like, Foley is beyond me for video games. It's beyond me. I don't know if he does. If he does, then a lot of things would make sense. Because his audio design is brilliant. We add those... Oh, I love this kind of thing. I love the on and off melody that plays. I love that. I love that. It's one of my favorite things. I have no idea how to do it. Usually you do it with a kill switch. I just don't have kill switches. But I love it. It's such a cool way of having a melody because it feels like it's, you know, blinking. Oh, it's so cool. So cool. There you go. Bonk annoying demo there. Yeah. Yeah, I think that bass, very cool. Yep, we're getting glimpses of the motif throw in here and there, very hidden in this saturated synth that just keeps adding more and more layers. Anvil's back, boys! And we bring it back to the start. And this time you have the reverse reverb, which is, I love reverse reverb. I have no idea how to do it, but I love the concept of it. That is like a reverse echo, because, you know, a reverb is that you say something and the echo remains. This one does the opposite, which is what is happening right now with the, we're going to call it an anvil, because it's the same thing that we heard at the start, but this time with this added thing of, not only are you expecting the impact of the anvil, but now there's this reverse echo bringing it in, giving it that much more impact. Plus the lower part. Oh my god. The drums. And this time, it's just building and building tension, more and more tension, more and more tension, more and more tension. Oh. Oh, hell yeah! And we bring everything back. Everything comes back. The floating melody is back with the motif. But now that he said the thing, and he's adding all of the elements, we have all the synths in, we have all the elements, we have the guitars, the drums, the floating melody again. I don't know if you have the anvil, but he said the thing, and there's one thing that I always love, and it is when the musicians say, when the music says the thing. So I don't hear the anvil now. Then again, that false stop that Gordon makes, so good. False stop. Look at that. Oh. It's a really cool way, now that I'm noticing it, the false stops that he's doing there, those false breaks are to bring back the melody, to restart the melody and have that much more emphasis, because now it sounds like the melody is what is kicking off everything, what is taking control, and not the you know, the chong to chong to chong to chong, the syncopation of the drums and the chugging of the other guitars. This is really clever. Now we have the change of chords, which again, we went so long still on the same chord, which is really difficult to do without boring people. And Mick is using the power of rhythm to just keep you so engaged. It's really good. If there's somebody that has mastered the art of syncopation, it's Mick. Nice. No, you haven't. No, good one. No, you haven't. Motif again. And I just noticed something else really interesting. The only variations we've seen of the motif were rhythmic. Like, it was either the motif not in melody form but in rhythmic form, or in the melody that it is. There have been a couple of allusions to it, but we haven't really seen him do too many of the other things that composers usually do with motifs. Like, usually when you have a motif, you really want to play around with it. So that means if Mick wanted to mess around with this motif, this track could be 20 minutes long. If he started experimenting with the different melodic options of the motif. If he really started making it, he would make it a really, really good 20-minute track. Crazy Nit, how you doing? Welcome to today. power of rhythm and syncopations. And he just keeps adding little bits and pieces over here. This is really good. Got home from work? Nice, man, nice. Hell yeah. Oh? It's not the end. And now he did the opposite of... You know how I was talking about how he's not exploring the motif that much? So, first things first, he did the thing. You take away the drums, you take away that chugging, and and usually if you leave the higher end, you feel like you're floating. But if you leave the lower end, which is what he just did, you're just floating, but it feels like you're floating more on water. Like, it feels a little more oppressive. So, very cool. And now it's slower. No, you haven't missed yours now. In a 64, the tenor is tickled just right. Nice. And now it's slower. Again, this is the first time that he's really changing even the tempo. This whole thing has been on the same tempo this whole time. Now, in the last minute, he just slows it down, and it gives it such an epic thing. Which is a very, it's a very metalcore thing to do. Like, you just bring the same riff just slower, and it just gives it this badass feel. This is the first variation, like first proper variation that we've seen of this whole theme, of this whole thing. And it works so well because the rest of the track was engaging. And now that he's slowing it down, it just feels so much more badass. Let's finish the track. And he brings the anvil, I think. I think the anvil is back with this. Oh no, it's strings. Strings. It's not the anvil, it's strings. Yep, there you go. The motif is slowed down. Now brought on the lower guitar with the chugging. Okay, and we're gonna fade it out. Okay, that's okay, I am not very fond of fade outs, personally. So I don't like that he did a fade out, but I think, let me see, if this were to loop. Okay, it would just loop back to the beginning after slowing down. It gives you enough contrast, so since it's video game music, it makes sense that you would loop it, and you decided to loop it with a fade out. Easier on the audio engine when you just loop it that way, because then you don't need to do any layering or anything like that. So I'll let it slide. How about that? Tired as heck. The cold saps energy from you. That's usually what the cold does. Yeah. So incredible track. Still, regardless, incredible track. Not where I thought it was going to end, but it's still good. It's still a really, really good track. Really good stuff. Of course, Mick Gordon is just such... It is a short fade. It is a short fade. And you can tell that it's just for the purpose of looping, because the track could have just ended on this area over here. It could have just ended here, right? Like... Like, it really could have just ended there. And for some reason, he kept it going and then added a fade out, which I think might have been that, okay, we have a 5-minute 40-second track. Oh, no, we need 6 minutes 50. Which, considering game development, would be super common. So what is the easiest thing you can do? Just bring back the motif, slow it down, and fade it out. There you go. That's your extra minute 10 seconds of music. So it sounded like the track was done, and then he was asked to make more of it, which he could have. I think he could have just made it another false break, but then it would have started to feel a little too samey, so he decided to bring the first proper contrasting idea. Not proper, like the first full contrast idea, change the tempo, change everything, and it's still part of the same track. clever use of this. It sounded, yeah, it sounds like it was a very like last minute. Oh, we actually need more time on this, so. So there you go. I like a fade out in some situations, like if it happens in an album where the songs are meant to be played in order and the fade out flows into the next song. I prefer concept albums. I personally prefer concept albums. But I see where you're going with this. I've got a soft spot for albums that play like a music movie. So back to this example that I've given before. The Parallax 2 Future Sequence, and my favorite, the album that has my favorite song of all time, The Great Misdirect by Between the Buried and Me. So these songs, these guys, what they usually do is that the songs just lead into one another. That's a concept album. So for example, Melting City. Oh yeah, from Bloom to Melting City. So you have here, let's play the very end of Bloom. And now we're in Melting City. Now we're in Melting City. All the way to the end of Melting City. And it blooms in and it doesn't fade. It never fades. It just continues. And now we're in Silent Flight Parliament. That's what I prefer. I prefer that, which is why I listen to these songs. I like it when the album just builds up like that. Which is why, by the way, if you want to listen to this album, it's the Parallax 2 Future Sequence by Between the Buried and Me. And the other one I mentioned was The Great Misdirect, also by Between the Buried and Me. These guys are brilliant when it comes to these types of albums. Another really good one is Affinity by Haken. These types of concept albums are incredible. Because the whole album is composed as one, as a whole. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, back to to The Instinct. Really good track. I can feel there was some sort of urgency to make that last bit because it sounds so out of place, almost like it's a separate track, but not really. So that's not an album. That's just a really long song. No, that would be Havitete. That would be Vides Luku, Havitete by Moon Sorrow. 2 songs. One of them is 30 minutes long. The other one is 26 minutes long. And they have that same thing. That they have one track playing from one to the other. So they're basically one really long song. So, really good stuff from The Instinct. Mick Gordon, again, an absolute master of rhythm and syncopation. So, really, really good stuff. Anyway, let's move on here for a second.